Watching some videos today, my outlook on where the world is going has changed dramatically. The first one is that I'm working on a project right now that is a SaaS application focused on M&A, help people through the process. I think there's still something there, but the way that I was approaching it was completely wrong. The more impactful thing is the underlying reason why I think it's wrong. The big thing that's about to happen is in 2025. So we're in 2024 as of the time of the recording. In 2025, we will have the advent of AI agents. And when I say that, I don't mean like we will have it here and there. No, we will have full fledged AI agents performing actions for individuals. The reality is that most consumers will probably not feel this. Be SaaS companies, things of that ilk will feel this. And for me, as a person starting down the path of creating a new business from scratch because I see a niche that needs help, I'm doing my research and trying to figure out whether the approach I have is appropriate. I suggest everybody at this point, we have a small window of time where you can act on, become knowledgeable of, and future proof to whatever degree you think is actually going to be appropriate, if that's even a thing. It's free future proof and may not even be a thing. But we're going through a paradigm shift, and AI agents is only one part of this whole continuum of things under AI, under robotics, and then you can go a level down that is each industry and how it's impacted by AI and robotics. When thinking about that, I was thinking in the SaaS world, you come to a conclusion that you're either the data or you're nothing. There's a little bit of area in between the interface, but you either are the data or you're nothing. So for these businesses that are coming out now, it's hard for me to see it any other way. OpenAI is talking about agents. Google is talking about agents. Anthropic just dropped a paper on how AI agents are going to be built and the appropriate measures with which you can build them. Microsoft, one of the things that shook me to my core was going out to grab dinner, real simple, pick up, grab and go. But on the way, started listening to somebody that was breaking down what Satya Nadella said. He was the CEO of Microsoft. And I think he was talking to Bill Ackman and a couple other people. Not really important. The important thing is that Satya was talking about how SaaS businesses as we know it are going to be changed forever. AI agents are going to change that paradigm with which we've been working in for SaaS and building that into the interface of a ChatGPT and to other degrees of other things. Now, I saw this. I've talked to people. My background is in risk management. You can see it over my shoulder. I have been working in enterprise risk management for a few years now, worked in internal audit. Before that, I worked in smaller businesses. One of the things that I thought through from the practical application of AI and really thinking about the topic globally and then really practically was that AI agents were the next step. Putting together steps of generative AI into packages that would perform actions either repetitively, whether it's robotic sense, or in a more adaptive sense, was going to be the next step. So I knew this was coming, and I knew it was coming quick, but it's different when you see it. To give a little background, I was floundering to figure out what I wanted to do back in 2018, 2017. I was bouncing back from having to take care of my mother at Alzheimer's, and I didn't want to lose all of the, even before that, I didn't want to lose the background I'd started gaining in finance. My background is in finance. And so with that, I was like, okay, I can automate trading and do all that. And honestly, I wasn't that good. I haven't made a whole bunch of money. What I found to be the skill set that I really wanted to hone in on, and it may be because I just wasn't all that interested, was that I really wanted to be able to go down the avenue of automating finance, which was basically data science. Underneath data science is kind of, I guess you can look at two ways. Either data science is underneath AI or AI is above data science. Regardless of the way that you picture it, they're linked. And they're not the same, but they're linked. One led to the other, which led to me going back to school and going to Georgetown for a data science certificate. And that kind of grounded me in what I had already been doing in terms of my own research in machine learning, deep learning. I started to use that for my everyday work in terms of internal audit and thinking about the application of machine learning and deep learning in terms of fraud and analysis of big data sets and anomaly detection and some other methodologies I used over time, audit and things of that nature. Next step was, hey, I didn't want to necessarily be in the hammer of the internal audit. I wanted to move on into the more helping hand of enterprise risk management. Enterprise risk management allowed me to flex different skill sets associated with data, but it was a very similar thing. How can I help to identify risk, mitigate that risk, and turn it into either a profit center or at least a net neutral in terms of how it's going to impact the business? Fast forwarding, I'm now helping out enterprise risk management with implementing generative AI and getting the team ready to go. Once I got to that, I really started to figure out, okay, all right, we're all missing what's about to happen here. All our individual components are about to be impacted greatly. If you ask anybody on my team, I have been a zealot to a certain degree about this. But this comes in terms of just being able to understand that we're in a paradigm shift. But again, it is different when you're just shouting it out and doing some research and finding that it's progressing along and you're seeing, oh, okay, we have ChatGPT T3. We have Anthropic coming out with Claude. We have Gemini 1. Um, but it's different. It is wholly different when you are at the next step of that and at the cusp of what is about to hit us in 2025 and beyond. If you look at it, the narrative or the repeated framing of what's going on, what we have now is the worst version we will ever have. If you're not using any of these LLMs, I don't care if it's the frontier models, the free models, or the open source models, you can get a sense if you start educating yourself on the topic. The incredibly impactful thing is that every single bit of your life will be impacted by what is happening right now. And until we have whatever AI overlord is going to come after this. What I implore to everybody that is hopefully hearing my voice and will hear it in the future, especially going into 2025, is that I want you to start really thinking about how you can implement this in your daily life. That'll get you embedded into what it means to incorporate AI into. We are at an inflection point that is unlike anything we've ever gone through. I think people equate it to PCs coming on and the information age really coming about. This is exponential. That's not my bag. I'm a data scientist. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that we are in a wholly different environment than we were even 18 months ago. Businesses will not be the same after these adaptations, changes, implementations, integrations come about. They will impact people's jobs. One of the really crazy things is that I fully believe there will be a $1 billion company that is essentially a couple people, three, four, five people, but it's not going to be how I expected it to be. Maybe it'll be a game. Maybe it will be some sort of novel way for people to interact with AI. Maybe it'll be some of these tools like Cursor, some of these tools like Replit. They have a bigger. I imagine they have a bigger team than that at this point. It's not going to be a SaaS business as I thought. What kind of rocked me while I was going to get my food was that data will be the most important thing. We call it data is the new oil. Again, not really internalizing what that actually means. If we're looking at ChatGPT as the new Google, the new interface with which you query to get an answer, to query to find things, query to set reservations, query to perform actions, you start losing the need for things like a full fledged website. Now, I'm not going to say that they're going to go by overnight, but I think that the way that we interact with websites is going to be wholly different. I think that we will find ourselves utilizing ChatGPT to, for my example of just trying to think through different businesses, the answers are already there. Just thinking about from my risk perspective and thinking about the risk ideas. One of the things that I've been working on is just in my daily job is my daily job. In my normal 9 to 5, I have a 9 to 5 and I have other stuff that I'm working on as well. My 9 to 5, I help synthesize data for enterprise risk management. And a big thing of that is somebody goes out in the business, whatever business that is, they perform either a risk assessment or some sort of detail evaluation of what's going on in the business. All that to uncover and discover risk associated with the company so that we can mitigate it. If we're able to, from like a holistic perspective, break down the information flowing through the business and into data is all we are. Outside of that, we're nothing. If we're able to synthesize, bring that data together in some sort of usable format, easily queryable format, easy to query or to gain information from format, then the act of actually trying to figure out the risk is really embedded in your ability to connect it to ChatGPT and these higher learned applications. So, giving away kind of one of my applications that I'm might be working on, and we'll see because again, SaaS is what it is. Is a risk management application that a small business could use, and the idea would be you hook up the information that you have about your business, about the from HR to your operations to maybe even your strategy, your finances, accounting. If you're working in a particular industry, there's particular regulations, things like that. You could input this all into a database. And as that database grows, the more information allows for a more powerful review and an analysis of your risk profile. The only thing that you would need to necessarily do is to just just Homer Simpson at the nuclear power plant. Just keep an eye on it. To keep an eye on it, you don't need an entire team. Maybe you need two people. One person to cover another person on the day off. But other than that, you're just keeping an eye on it. Maybe you have one legal person. Maybe you have one risk management person. Allow them to do compliance versus risk management. But at the end of the day, you're just looking at it. The data is doing the work for you. ChatGPT is doing the work for you. So, in a lot of these businesses that are, if you think about, so Amazon has a scenario that they've uncorked over the last couple of months where you better bring your butt in the office or you can go ahead and leave. I don't think that's just because they want people in the office. They're one of the leading efficiency minded organizations in the world. They're cool if you go. They're cool if the vast majority of people go. Now, I'm not saying that they can function all in all without some people there. But I think that a lot of the white collar work within there will be flipped on its head in short order, and that they're working actively to figure that out. So, when it comes down to the detail that I'm really trying to get across, is that in 2025, AI agents are coming. In 2026, robotics is coming. 2027, singularity is coming. We have reasoning models, O3, Mini, O3, all of these being OpenAI models. O1 already, O1 Pro mode already kicking the butt of a bunch of different stuff. And a lot of things that you would put as markers of not AGI, of some sort of upper bound intelligence. And so we have that along with other models that are coming out. But let's just talk about O3. O3 is already able to beat out, in terms of coding, most coders on the planet, most mid level, all mid level, and a lot of high level coders on the planet. It's able to beat some of the, not beat, but to score very well on some of the hardest. We're coming up with, we're having to give this model math problems that are either completely novel, meaning are completely ginned up just for this interrogation of the model, or are at the extremes, at the boundaries of what we've been trying or testing individuals at math Olympiads and other things. We're having to find ways that are, again, are novel to the whole thing. And it's scoring pretty dang well. I'm not smart enough to work on these problems. And I don't think that it doesn't necessarily matter, because at a certain point, it's just compute power and being able to stack this stuff on top of each other and new techniques on top of each other. Infinite memory matched with compute, allowing for bigger, broader, better solutions. Probably coming across my tone as a little bit unnerving, but it's I'm confused in terms of my emotions about this whole thing because basically it's as long as we don't let the world kind of collapse on itself, uh, and we do a good job of pushing it on to the brink in a lot of different ways, and I'm not even going to go into that. But barring some calamity, and if everybody, if you hear my voice, make it a 2030. I was going to say 2020. Make it a 2030. And I think you'll be surprised by every single ounce of the daily life has changed from 2025 to 2030. I'm bullish on it being a lot better. I'm bullish on medicine being a lot better. I'm bullish on, we'll see if politics is better. Implementation of understanding of what is embedded in policy within your cohort, within your neck of the woods, within your country. I think that we will probably find the financial system up turned on its head. Probably will go through some times, as in bad times. But I think but after that, I think that we will find that there's essentially a scenario that we bake that's not necessarily UBI, but is some amalgamation of a similar thing that if you squint your eyes, you can see it. Um, and when that day comes, it'll be a breath of fresh air. And I think that the way that we look at what we do each and every day and our identities will change. For me, as a person that's trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, what I'm doing now, how that's impacted by the changes that are happening now, and how I'm trying to think about those next steps and build for the future. I think about how I positioned myself in 2018 for the way that I look at the world right now. And I think that I positioned myself impeccably in 2018 for this growth. Now, did I take all the advantages of it? Probably not, because I fell into a job that I enjoy and that allowed me the space to start doing things on the side. But I think in the next step of what I want to do, I want to make sure that I ground myself in the reality that we don't have a lot of time in between. Like, we're at the beginning of what was the industrial age, and that was a pretty rocky road for a lot of people. But are a few individuals that are their names still ring bells now that took advantage of that paradigm shift, and those times don't always come around that often. As a kind of a call for everybody, a call to action to everybody. I will have my own community, and if you want to learn more about it, you can sign up for more details below. I'll be starting a beta community. Beta is in early on when I don't have my whole rubric of things that I want to necessarily cover in the community, but I want to create a community that allows for people to get a hold of and get ahead of what is an incoming wave, and specifically in terms of thinking about their businesses and how to implement some of those things that are going to help it navigate into the next stage of what we have going on in the world. But outside of that, it's just a call to everybody to to start really utilizing some of these things that are coming to fruition, whether it's because our normal 9 to 5s are going to drastically change. What can be done by a entire crew of people will be able to be done by one person. So that lessens the need for multiplication unless there's new novel things for those people to do. So if you consider outside of the box thinking, you start thinking about, do I want to be a storyteller? Do I want to do I want to be one of those individuals that is creating the next set of worlds? Do I want to be the one that's embedding AI into toys? Do I want to be an artisan jeweler? Do I want to be a content creator? Do I want to be just any sort of curator, purveyor, developer of things? And we'll have to discuss what those things are. We will have to all figure out ways to navigate. Now, I want to end on a positive note because I feel like maybe my tone is a little bit of a downer, but I truly believe that we are the phrase that comes up sometimes is, if you were born in the 90s and I want precedented times, but I think it's a blessing that we're in unprecedented times because it allows for individuals to really take a different approach. I think before now, we've been working in a your job is your identity kind of world in a negative light, but I think it can be in a more of a positive light, really honed in on what you want to be known for and to be, but just to be known for. I think just to, for that, thinking about family members, right? I have family members that worked for the U.S. Postal Service for a large swath of their lives. If I were to talk to them now, and I do talk to them, when I talk to them now about their job that they did, it it defined them for a while, a little bit of lost identity, but then they realized that they weren't the job that they held. But in a lot of cases, a lot of people do hold on to that identity. I'd like to say, like, when I'm dead and gone, I'm not going to be known as an ERM data analyst. I'm going to be known as Dante, who enjoys AI, who's been able to stay ahead of trends and see things into the future that a lot of people can't see. Kind of a swath of things that allow for a more holistic view of what you are. I'm not a data analyst. I'm somebody that puts things together through research and synthesizes and digests quite a bit so that I can evangelize or speak in the way that I need to inform those that need to know so that they can make informed decisions. Who likes archery and does all these other things. But all that to say, thank you for taking the time to hear me ramble a little bit. I think, again, the heart of this is you are at the cusp of new, undetermined, and and if you seize the moment right now, at least to educate yourself, if not to create those action steps. And so that's a wrap on today's little rant session detail. Thanks for watching. Wherever you get this video, make sure you like and subscribe and comment something engaging below, whether it's your thoughts on where AI is going or any detail about how you're feeling about the advent of AI, or kind words are also appreciated as well. If you don't, I'm inclined to believe that you want the AI overlords to win. So do the right thing, show some love, and I'll catch you on the next